Hey everyone, so we've just returned recently from a trip to Las Vegas. That was our first trip out there, and we spent 4 nights out there, did many different things, and the thing we want to talk about most is where we stayed, which was at the Mirage Resort and Casino, and we did a walkthrough video of that, a whole comprehensive walking tour. And we'll put a link to that down in the description if you want to check that out, so you can get a visual to pretty much show you anything you could see with the resort.
I'll put it in the corner too, but we'll put it in the description as well. You
want to check that out because, like I said, it's pretty comprehensive and it'll show you anything you're wanting to know, how everything looks, how it's laid out. So be sure to check that out. But what we want to do now is give you our thoughts about it, do a little review here, give you some pros, cons, things to consider. And, you know, in case you're thinking about going to Las Vegas and wondering where you should stay, if you're considering the Mirage, maybe this will help you make your decision. So you want to tell us some things about the resort for those who don't know?
Sure, yeah. Well, the Mirage is, its theme is tropical, kind of Hawaiian. It has some cool little features like a big volcano out front. It's really... I don't want to say most known for its pool, but it's one of the more iconic pools, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
It has like a really pretty waterfall. It's kind of like a lagoon in that it's not just a standard rectangle. It has different kind of alcoves where people can kind of separate and move about. It's really pretty. We really wanted to swim in that pool because that pool looked so cool. And it was cool. It was freezing cool. Like, it was so cold. And somebody that we talked to over there said that the water was so cold because the water coming down from the waterfall was, I don't know why that water was so cold, but it was making the whole pool cold. And
we're not ones to be bothered, especially me. Like, cold water doesn't really bother. I'm one of those that just jumps right in. I don't do the tippy toe.
Yeah.
Tippy toe. I don't do that to get in.
I'll do the tippy toe sometimes.
Lemon tree. I just get right into it, and it doesn't really bother me. I've swam in the mountain water. We go out to Yosemite or Yellowstone. I'll get in the water. It doesn't usually faze me. This pool, I was hot because it was in the desert, and I got out. I went in and I got out. I was like, I'm done. It was like at a 10. Not at a 1, but like, come on up.
It was like sub-zero. We needed it like a little bit more tepid than that.
Yeah. So
the front desk has a big aquarium behind the front desk, and the lobby has a bunch of vegetation and flowers, tropical
waterfalls.
Yeah. If you've been to the Polynesian in Disney World, it kind of reminded me of that. It had a little bit of the smell before they changed the lobby at the Polynesian. It was kind of similar to that, so I enjoyed that.
Yeah, they pump in like a coconut smell all throughout this resort. It's very strong, but it smells good.
Yeah, it was nice. I like coconut. It has a casino, of course, because we're in Vegas. It's like a medium-sized casino. It's not, because we stayed at the Mirage, but we visited a lot of the other hotels just to see what they were like, and it was like medium sized compared to the other ones. Yeah,
it had everything you'd look for, slots, video poker, all the tables, roulette, everything that you could want to play was there.
Yeah.
It just wasn't as sprawling as some of the other ones that we saw, and it also wasn't as tiny as some of the other ones we saw.
And of course, they had a lot of different food options. Some of the things that you may have heard of before, it had a Carnegie Deli, which we have eaten at in New York. So we tried the one in the Mirage as well, and it was delicious.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
It was just as good as the one in New York. So if you've been to the one in New York, it's the same kind of menu, same kind of quality, so it was really good. They also have a California pizza kitchen, had a buffet for breakfast. I think it was for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah, it was all day.
I remember seeing the breakfast specifically. Then they had this restaurant called the Pantry, which this was the 24-hour option. And this was also where the food came from if you ordered room service. It had other things like a burger place. It had kind of a sports pub. It had a lot of different options.
It was like a variety too. There, like we said, there was a buffet, there was more quick casual stuff, there was stuff that looked like a little bit on the fancier side. So whatever you were in the mood for, they had options. We don't know if any of it was good, except the Carnegie Deli is the only place we ate.
Yeah.
So we can tell you that's good. The other places we didn't really try. Everything looked really nice though. It was themed well. All of the restaurants looked very clean and like they had good options there. All right, so now we'll talk about some of the different pros, some of the different cons, maybe things to consider with the Mirage Resort. So the first thing, the biggest pro that we could probably give it was the room.
Yeah.
I know you were a big fan of the room.
Yeah, it was. I was really not surprised because I wasn't expecting anything bad, but it was a lot bigger than I was thinking because it was just a standard 2-queen, no view room. But it was, I feel like it was pretty large for being a 2-queen room. Like the hallway walking in was pretty big. It was very clean, which is one of the reasons why we decided to stay there, because we read a lot of reviews that said that its main thing was that it was very clean, and it showed. The bathroom was really nice. I thought the bed was comfortable. I slept good every night. And we had a no view room, but we had a little bit of a view.
Yeah, it was positioned over the ceiling or the roof of the convention center, I'm pretty sure. But we could see the pool through the trees. But then if we also, and we could see the Rio and the mountains off in the distance. But then if we just look to the left, it was the Eiffel Tower at Paris. We could see different digital displays that were on certain buildings. The flamingo neon sign was lighting up. We could see all of that from our room, really well. I mean, it wasn't like a full-on view because the roof and such from the convention center did kind of cut up, and then there were other buildings that were near there from Caesars that kind of cut in. So, but you could see most of the Eiffel Tower, which was the best part of the view. So that was a nice surprise for sure.
You kind of put it the best that if we would have paid for a view, if we would have paid extra for a view, we kind of would have been nah, that's not that great of a view. But when you didn't pay for a view at all, it was oh, I can see stuff, that's great.
So the only really things I could think about the room that maybe weren't so great, and this is actually the resort wide because it happened in the sports book too, the TV kept cutting in and out, the cable, which I mean, we weren't really there to watch TV, but when you are, there were football games on and such, and it was really not good service. It kept just cutting in and out. Like I said, it happened in the sports book too, so it wasn't just in the room. But also, aside from that, I've seen a lot of people request, that they put a fridge in the room, a mini fridge, instead of the mini bar with all the overpriced stuff, but that's Vegas, so that's how it's gonna go. The AC worked. It wasn't the greatest. We had to really crank it down to get it cold in there. But it was weird because when you came down the hallway to go to the rooms, that was really cold. It was really, really cold. And then you stepped in your room and it felt so hot. And then vice versa. When you left, you'd finally be feeling good in your room and you'd go out in the hallway and you'd be wow, why is it not like this in here? So it was just kind of, I mean, it worked though. It worked. Other than that, it's the only thing I could really think of that with the room. It was great overall. I would definitely give the room 10 out of 10 seems a little strong, but maybe a 9 out of 10.
I think the room quality is a good value for what we paid.
If you're wanting somewhere just to put your head down at night that's, clean and comfortable, you can't go wrong. So that was probably the best thing about the Mirage.
Agreed.
was the room. So then something kind of in the middle is the location. The location was probably best described as good, not great. I think. I mean, obviously depends what you're going for, but
I mean, it's near Venetian, it's near Treasure Island. So if you're trying to get to one of those places, it's really easy. But a common way to get around over there is by using the monorail that goes down the strip, which we definitely recommend. That was really convenient. Because your feet definitely start to get tired after a while there, and the monorail helped a lot. But there wasn't, it was on the opposite side of the street that the monorail is on, so you had to go across the street to Harrah's. So it was a little bit of a walk to the monorail. a lot of the food that we ate at, because we ate at that mall.
Yeah, inside the Planet Hollywood hotel, there's the mall there, and I can't remember the name of it, but it had all kinds of shops and restaurants and quick serve food, and that's where we went and saw the 2 shows that we saw. And so it was just because we weren't really looking to eat anything fancy, just something quick and cheap, and that had a lot of options. So that was further down, which is why when we went to Paris, that area seemed like the best location you could get.
Yeah.
It was on the same side as the monorail. It had all these other hotels next to it. It had the mall right next door, and all this other stuff was just right. It was a very central location. Whereas Mirage is a bit further down. You can still walk to that stuff.
Sure.
We did it one day. I did it by myself on another morning to go get her show tickets, and it really wasn't that bad. So, and that's in August, during the day.
Yeah.
In the desert.
Right.
And it wasn't that bad. So
yeah.
You could definitely manage it, but just, it could be better, I think, the location.
I think it's okay because it's on the strip, so that's convenient, but it's at the end of the strip
of like the good part of the strip.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, the condensed part. Like you're not as far up as Stratosphere, but you're not like as far down as Mandalay Bay. You're still kind of in that middle condensed area, just towards the end of that middle condensed area.
Like I feel like Paris is like that sweet. Paris and Bellagio is that like perfect location because you're like right in the middle of the middle.
So everything we've talked about so far was either great or it was like decent, maybe could use a little improvement. The one thing that was the absolute negative with this resort that they have to improve on is the customer service. And that was the biggest disappointment because, you know, I worked in hospitality. I have a degree in hospitality, so I know kind of how that realm works. We're travelers. We understand how this goes. We're travel agents. These guys just didn't have it. And hopefully it was just a one-off. Maybe it was just a bad week.
You know, how the employees treat you and your interactions with them is a big part of when you stay someplace. And unfortunately, we had 2 not so good experiences. And like you said, maybe we just happened to catch them a bad week, or maybe got a couple people that weren't as friendly as maybe some other great people who work there.
I would say housekeeping was really nice.
Oh yeah, the lady that came to our room was extremely nice. The bell services were very nice.
Yep.
They held our luggage for us, and we used them when we got there and before we left, and they were very nice. And
shout out to bell services. They always do it right.
He's a former bell service person.
Right there. At the end of the day, it wasn't anything that was too big of a deal or a problem. It just really put a sour note on how the Mirage handled things.
Yeah.
Just something to consider.
And we don't mean to complain at all. I mean, overall, we had a great stay and it was a great vacation. It's just something we want you to be aware of if you're going to stay there.
We would stay here again if we had a good deal. I wouldn't let maybe it was a one-off, like I said, with the customer service. I wouldn't let it stop me. It would not be our first choice, though. Personally, we would like to try other things and maybe go to different places. But it's not like we'll never stay there again.
Yeah.
I don't feel that strongly about it. So, scale of 1 to 10, 7?
I agree with that. A 7. I definitely think the main things to go for is the room cleanliness, the size, the overall theming is great. And I think if that's your bread and butter, I think you would enjoy this.
Yeah.
I did notice that I personally liked about it was that when we went into these other resorts and casinos, you were immediately kind of overwhelmed by the casino because it was so big and that was very much at the forefront. But I feel like with Mirage, it was more of a hotel that had a casino.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
And
all right, well, I think that'll wrap it up for us. So, like we said, be sure to check out the other video that we have posted that actually did the walkthrough, the whole comprehensive tour of the Mirage, so you can see what it's like and everything it has to offer. Hopefully this information helps you make a decision about where you want to stay when you go to Las Vegas. And we want to know what you think. Have you stayed here before? Did you have similar issues? Did you have an amazing experience?
Yeah.
And tell us, what are your favorite places to stay at? If you're someone who frequents Las Vegas, should we ever decide to go back, where do you think we should stay? We're leaning Paris right now. You have any thoughts on that?
Tell us if that's
yeah.
yay or nay.
What's been your experience? So we'd love to hear from you. If you don't mind, you know, we're gonna give you the spiel, like, comment, subscribe, all that. Just really helps to outreach of the channel and helps us keep making more videos. So hopefully you've enjoyed this one, and we'll have more for you soon.
Yes.
So be sure to check back. Thanks everyone.
Happy travels.